कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभम
Namaste.
Namaste,
Am I
sir.
audible?
Yes, sir. You are.
So welcome to you all in this very special day. Today we are celebrating two very important events. One is World Consumer Rights Day that just tell us that as a consumer, what are our rights? And the theme for this 2025 is a just transition to sustainable lifestyles. And secondly, we are celebrating World Speech Day. And the theme is Unexpected Voices 10 years of speaking for the world. Actually, this particular program of Speech Day was started in 2015. So they are completing 10 years now. So the topic is Unexpected Voices. So this is about this very special day. And on our own front, we are having three very important sessions today. The change management, the coach and mentoring, diversity and inclusivity in education. So the first is the change management. The name is very very interesting name, change. We are changing every time, and we have changed so much after the COVID. And change management is very important because it helps us as a team, it helps us as individual teachers to change ourselves. And no, it's very difficult to change. There are many things are there. And there are many points on which change management matters. So details will be told you by the speaker, Madam Gulshan Kaur. But in very short, I can say that for every change, there's a lot of resistance. Lot of resistance. Actually, it's the human nature to resist. So resistance from everywhere. Then if it is a well-structured approach, then change can give desired outcome. It can maintain the productivity also. And it brings a nature of engagement. And obviously, after all, why we are changing? We are changing according to the need, according to the market, according to our stakeholders. So, friends, today's session will be taken by uh, Mrs. Gulshan Kaur on change management. Mrs. Gulshan Kaur is serving as the principal of Bhavan's School, Panchkula. And before that, also, she has worked as a principal in different schools. And her school is itself a story of change. Madam Gulshan Kaur is holding many portfolios besides the principal, and she is the regional director for the Student Quality Circle under the World Council for Total Quality and Excellence in Education. Many portfolios under CBSE. She is a passionate educator, and many things she has started. The one of them I remember, toy-based learning. She's very innovative, and she prefer that her teachers should come forward in innovation in learning. And she is a very good example of change maker in education. If I have to start a series of change makers in education, I'll take first interview of Gulshan Kaur. She is very much dedicated to the holistic development of the children. It can be the academic excellence, it can be other things. And numerous programs she is running in the school about the training of the teachers for teaching methodologies, for moon, and for so many other things. So basically, she is a progressive reformer, I'll say. So today she is with us and she'll let us know about the change management. So I'll request Ma'am Gulshan Kaur to please proceed for uh, change management. So Madam, stage is all set for you for the change. Please.
Namaste, sir, and thank you so much for this kind introduction. Your words meant a lot to me. And yes, management is the most desirable topic, and it's happening everywhere. In fact, even nature prepares us for the change, and nature brings in a change every now and then. So, sir, may I be allowed to share the slide first, and then I'll proceed further?
Please.
Sir, is my slide visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, change management. Change is something which excites you, and change is something which scares you as well. I hope you might be agreeing with me on this point. If you are agreeing with me, you can put your thumbs up so that I can understand that you are with me on this. I would love interaction with each one of you. But then, given the paucity of time, we'll try to use emoticons to exchange our thoughts. And wherever possible, I'll ask you to unmute yourself and express yourself as well. So, is my voice clear to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, change management, a very heavy word. So, before we start, let's see this. What do you infer from here? So, I'll require minimum 3 to 4 responses. Any of you in any sequence can unmute yourself and speak. What do you infer from this picture? In fact, this picture was what I got. I'll tell you the story later, but let me first understand what do you infer from this? Yes, any of you? What do you infer? Unmute yourself and speak.
Namaskar, ma'am.
Namaste.
Ma'am, I come to know about this. Is this only tree? There is one single tree here we can see. There is
Mhm.
only one sun we can see. The thing we have to notice here is the type of is the change of seasons. Like we can see the spring, we can see the autumn, and all are coming together on just a single tree. So we can infer that, like in our life also, though we are same, though we are living our life alone, but there can be moments of happiness, of sorrowful moments too, and there can be change in our moods that can lift our personality or anything like that. So one single human being can feel different kind of emotions. Just I can say this.
Okay, thank you
Ma'am,
so much for your inputs. What's your name?
Kamini.
Kamini. Thank you, Kamini. I'd like to
Ma'am,
hear some more views on it. Yes,
ma'am, different colors of life.
different colors of
Different
light.
colors of life.
All right. This is who? I mean, may I know your name, please?
Yes, ma'am, Pooja Gupta.
Pooja Gupta. Thank you, Pooja. Somebody else who want to
Namaste,
come up?
Namaste, ma'am.
Namaste.
Yes, ma'am. I feel just like a tree goes through different kinds of seasons, different
Hmm.
spring, autumn, and everything. Similarly, one's life is also full of changes and different stages of life, like Shakespeare has said about the 7 stages of life. So, from baby to childhood, adulthood, and then again he becomes like a baby, and like it's a cycle going on. So different
Okay.
changes we all have to experience, and the experience in itself brings in a lot of changes in us as well.
Nice. Very well interpreted. Somebody else who wants to put their views? This will be the last one, which I'll take. Yes. Anybody else? Okay, fine. So let me now share the story with you. These days, we are welcoming a lot of changes. And one such change is the AI being integrated into our lives in some way or the other. So what I did was, I was always, being told that ChatGPT is something which you should explore. So what I felt, okay, let me ask ChatGPT that if I want some image for a change, what will it bring? And when I typed, I want an image for a change, this was the beautiful picture what ChatGPT generated. It made me think that yes, nature is like, being shown here, transitioning, the transition of one season to the other on the same tree. So we were transitioning from one phase to the other, to the other, to the other. What made me think if I wouldn't have transitioned, would I have survived? No, I wouldn't have survived. Because nature means change. Nature brings in change. Nature itself survives on change. So change is inevitable. Change has to be embraced. Change has to be accepted. And change is what's important. But how do we bring in a change? We need to prepare for that change. And nature prepares itself for the change. You see, the kind of Rabi crop or the Kharif crop we have, if we talk about in that terms, nature prepares the soil, nature prepares the weather conditions for the growth of such crops. So, to bring in any change, preparation for that change is important. And that is where we say that in order to navigate the change, you need to manage the change by preparing yourself for it. And if you don't do that, what is it? What is it that will lead to? It will fade you away. You will not be able to survive. That's why when we say the dinosaurs were not able to survive, it was because they did not adapt to the change. And so we say it's the survival of the fittest, and the fittest is the one who adopts and adapts the change. But let's now move on to that. Why change is so important? We said that you will fade away if you don't change. So let's understand it in some more concrete terms. This is the sigmoid curve. Sigmoid is an ancient Greek alphabet like alpha, beta, delta, gamma. Now, this sigmoid curve, it was brought in by Charles Henry, who was an American researcher in social science in 1960s. Basically, whatever the theories are for the change management and all, they are related to commercial organizations. But in today's context, they are very much relevant to our educational organizations as well. So the sigmoid curve states that when you start up, right, you do a lot of investments. Say, for example, let's take manufacturing of cars. So when you have to manufacture cars, the first stage, step one, is inception, where you need a lot of investment, huge investment in terms of finance. But for us, as educators and as educational organizations, this is investment in human capital. We do in a lot of investment in human capital. And then comes point two, where we are now progressing on the trajectory of growth. So when you come to that trajectory of growth is where you say that your product is well received, your results are well appreciated, your parents are happy, and whatnot. Even as educators, you see, if you look into your own journey, you will find initially you need a lot of investment in your education, so that you build up. And then once you're into job, you get into the trajectory of growth. Now from growth, you move on to maturity. And maturity is the time when you are at the peak of your performance, right? When you're at the peak. I mean, everybody is happy with you. You're at the peak. But then, as nature has it, from the peak, there's a decline. So, the point which is important here is the point X, which you can see on this curve. Point X is the point of influx, where everybody feels feels satisfied. You feel that you have achieved a lot. You are on the right track. But for how long? If you don't change now, if you don't think of to move out of it, you will fade away. So this is the point of influx, the pain area A. And you will have to move from pain area A to pain area B and then take a upward trend. So this point A is the point of influx. You will have to change. You'll have to sharpen your skills because you'll have to now move ahead of the curve. So that phrase, stay ahead of the curve, comes from this sigmoid curve. That if you want to lead, you will have to stay ahead of the curve, not stay behind the curve. So stay ahead of the curve, the phrase was derived from sigmoid curve. So in order to stay ahead of the curve, you'll have to move from that solid curve to the other curve and then keep on repeating so that you are growing well enough and you're changing with the change of the time and the situation. So this is important that we understand the inflection point and we take up decisions well on time to stay ahead of the curve. Otherwise, we will definitely not be able to sustain. You all have heard about Nokia. Now, why the Nokia is no more a word? Because Nokia never adapted to the change. It never looked into it. Now you see, we are having diesel and petrol cars. But very soon, we are moving on to electric cars. We are moving on to hybrid cars. Now, this is the time, the point of influx. If the companies or the organizations don't take a lead to change and stay ahead of the curve, they will fade away. They'll not survive. Similarly, for us as educationists, as educational organizations, the kind of changes that we face every now and then, the kind of changes which we are experiencing with the introduction of national education policy and the innovative pedagogies which we are supposed to or bring in competency in education, if we don't think about changing our ways now, we will also not be able to survive. Hence, it is important for us that change be embraced and change be embraced with a lot of grace. But the question is again that how do you bring in the change? Who is going to board your change bus? Is it that as educationists, if we say, okay, I'm going to bring in a change, these are the changes we want, how many of them will board the change bus with you? Research says that 70% will get on because they'll say, okay, you're the boss. We'll go what you say. We'll go with what you say. So 70% will get on with you. 25%, a quarter, will wait. They'll say, okay, I'm still not very confident. I need time to think. I don't know how you're going to drive me through. It's difficult for me to come out of my comfort zone and explore the untreaded paths. So those I cannot wade into those, waters which are like, dingy, which I'm not very confident of. So that 25% will wait and 5% will lie in front of you. They will not want to. So they'll resist. So there is where you need to use your leadership skills to make them board the bus. In fact, all of them. So the change bus is that how many of them are going to board with you. It will all depend on how, as a leader, you take up the things, how you have prepared the grounds for the change. But easy said than done. It's easy said than done. It's not that easy to bring in a change. It's very complex. It's not a Newtonian approach or a linear approach that you say and the things get done. It's not a laboratory where you are testing and you follow the steps and you get the desired outcome. Every day, there are ups and downs. The things may not go the desired way. And all the theories which have come for change management, incidentally, they were all for commercial organizations, as I've stated earlier. But now they're all very much relevant in our context. So for us to bring in a change, it's important that we understand the organizational theory, we understand the organizational development, we understand the organizational behavior and the climate that we create. Michael Fullen had been an expert, and he is in fact the person who has worked a lot on leading change. He came up with a very interesting thing, stating that change is non-linear. It is loaded with uncertainty and excitement, and sometimes it's perverse. Why so? Because why we say change is non-linear? Because it's not that I say and you do it. It's not that it's a Newtonian approach that the hierarchical things move on. It's not a dictatorial kind of setup that one said it has to be done. So it's non-linear. How people will respond to it will vary from person to person, from one cohort to the other cohort. So it's non-linear. How people are going to respond to it, how people are going to take it, it's all different. And it's loaded with a lot of uncertainty. You're not certain that what results or what desired outputs are you going to gain out of it. You are also trading into the uncharted paths. There will be excitement with some of your staff members. They might be very excited for the change because that's there in their genes, that they love change. But there will be some who may not like it at all. And there may be people who may be even resisting to it. So for all that, we need to recognize that how am I going to lead and manage the change? It needs higher order skills and competencies, and that are not easily understood. We'll move to the next, that John P. Cotter's model. As I've told you, Michael Fullen was an educationist, an educational researcher who has led the change, who has worked on this leading change. You can even read his book. His book is very interesting, in fact, Michael Fullen's Change Forces. He, in fact, used John P. Cotter's leading change model in education to bring in the desired change. He brought in this 8 step model, Cotter's 8 step model. The first 3 steps, they focus on creating a climate change, a change for, you need to create a climate for change. The next 3 steps focus on how to engage and enable the whole organization to bring in the desired change, while the last 2 steps focus on implementing and sustaining the change. So we'll talk about first the first step, which is urgency. So what you can see that Kotter's process, basically at the heart of Kotter's methodology also, the understanding is that change is not a simple linear process, but a multifaceted journey that touches every corner of an organization. Secondly, Kotter's process is a very comprehensive path forward, and it addresses to the common pitfalls one might face, the challenges that may derail your change initiatives. It offers insights into how to overcome resistance and build a powerful coalition and generate short-term wins that builds momentum towards long-term transformation. So it's a very well researched practical experience which has been brought into clear actionable strategies for implementing change effectively and sustainably. So we'll move to the first step, that is creating urgency. Why is it important to create an urgency? Because the first step states that it's not merely about informing people that change is on the horizon. You need to foster a shared understanding of the need for change that is so compelling that it drives and motivates this collective action. Now, here I would like to ask you a few questions, and I will expect very honest answers here. When the new education policy was rolled out, a lot of changes were being expected from leaders to bring into their organizations. You all might have even, gone through those phases. Can you please tell me how was that need for urgency created in your organization, that we need to bring in a change in our processes, in our systems, in our methodologies, in our pedagogies? Any of you, I'll take 2 answers here. Can you please unmute yourself and answer that? How was the sense of urgency created in your school by your school leader, or as a school leader, how did you create that urgency in your organization for the implementation of the new education policy and the national curricular framework? Yes. Any of you? Any 2 responses I would like to invite. Yes, please. I don't know your names, otherwise, I would have called you by name. So I'm just waiting for your response. Was there any urgency created? Was there any discussion, deliberation of how you're going to bring in a change being brought into your schools? I'm just waiting for your reply.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Dinesh
Yes.
from Renukut.
Right.
In my school, various workshops were conducted, some online and some offline mode, about new
Hmm.
education policy, what things we are going to implement in this policy. And we also attended workshops outside the school also.
Okay, so that was how you feel that that urgency was created. Like, was it like a kind of buzzword in your organization that the new education policy is in, and we need to bring in that change? There are a lot of changes. It's talking about we'll have to move from the traditional system to some non-conventional systems. Was that talk there in the staff? Was that talk there with the leader, the school leader, and the staff? Yes,
Yes, it
Dinesh, if
was
you can.
since it, yes it was since it was a government policy. Therefore, we thought that it will come one day or the other day. It has to come. So we have to follow it we have to understand it to implement it. That was it was also important for us to understand it, how it will be implemented, in what way it will be implemented. That
So
is
was that there was a kind of anxiety that developed, or was it that there was a shared and a common understanding which has come in that no, we'll have to come together to bring in?
yes, there was some anxiety because documents like national curriculum framework or other documents like life skills and other things we were not much familiar with. Therefore, it
Hmm.
was a new thing. So it created some anxiety in our minds.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Dinesh. Is there somebody else also who would like to share how that agency was created in their schools?
Yes, ma'am. Myself is Minakshi. And from Bhavaneshwar, Amritsar. Same happened in our schools. Our principal ma'am, she deputed many teachers to attend the different workshops outside the school, and the policy was given to a core of the teachers to read them and to explain to the other teachers as well, so the things become clear to everyone. It's not only for the few teachers, it was for all the teachers. And moreover, when we were interviewing the new teachers, we were asking the questions, do you know about the NEP or something like this, because we wanted the new recruitment with the knowledge of those that NEP, and everyone should know this. So this all happened in our school, and of course we had an anxiety that we have to change, because we changed everything, our report card and everything, all the evidences we have to collect, and everything was changed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Meenakshi. Thank you so much. So I've got my two responses. Uh, Sharma sir, my time is till what? Because it's 4:20 now. I'll accordingly, plan out the rest of my slides. So I have got time till
Hello.
yes,
We
sir.
have given you for 450. It can be
4:50.
5 minutes plus and minus, no problem.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. I'll try to be on time. So, creating urgency doesn't mean that, we have to induce fear or, anxiety. It's all about inspiring a positive vision for the future, because it involves communicating in a way that connects with people's emotions and rational minds alike, making the case for change both intellectually and emotionally compelling and relatable. So, creating a sense of urgency is very important because it aligns the whole organization and it embarks them on the journey of transformation, laying the groundwork for a change in initiative. So, that change initiative is to be embraced, not imposed. Because if you impose, it will not sustain for long. But if you embrace it, you take it further. So, creating urgency is the first step in the quarters model of change model of change management. So, creating urgency. So, I could relate it with all of you when you answer that yes, urgency was created by making it a point of discussion, sending you for workshops so that you gain an understanding and all that. Now, moving ahead of it, once you have created a sense of urgency and you're trying to transform the anxieties into action, the next important step is building a guiding coalition. And building a guiding coalition, that is forming a powerful coalition, means that it's not a single leader who is going to bring in the desirable change, but the collective action and commitment of a powerful, influential group. And that influential group can be amongst your hierarchy of your members, I mean hierarchy of staff, or it can be even without hierarchy of staff, because you have unorganized groups who work as cohort points. So the guiding coalition is essential particularly for bringing in the change leadership. It's not a single leader, it's group of people together, and they should be from diverse groups, like as you stated, in some cases Minakshi here stated that they made, all the teachers, some of the teachers, senior teachers or the senior people read the things and then, putting it across to others. So particularly a coalition was formed. A coalition was formed of people with the right kind of skills, expertise and influence. It's just not that they should have skills and expertise. They should also be able to influence and guide the organization through the tumultuous journey of change. So, what we understand from here is that the guiding coalition must operate with a very high level of trust and mutual respect. It's only then it becomes easier for them to, bring in that desired change, and they should be able to make tough decisions. Now, here again, keeping the same context in mind, NEP implementation and NCF in your schools, can you tell me that was it that in your school a team was made of some people who were experts out of your senior faculty, or even the ones who were not with some, like, designations or portfolios, who could reach out to the complete staff and bring in that kind of bring in that kind of effect in their behavior, in their perception, to bring in that desired change? So I'll take any two responses again. Can you please open up to this? Yes. I would love you to speak out, because change requires that the voices be given to people. It's not that I am only here to deliver. I'm also here to learn from you people. So we are trying to view this particular the steps in what we have done in our organizations. So any of you, any two responses. So
Good
was it
afternoon,
that
ma'am.
a coalition team was made? Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Ambika this side from Vidya Bhavan Vidyashram, Jaipur.
Okay.
Ma'am, recently last year we created the urgency, and then there was a group made for the HPC, ma'am. As suggested in NCF, holistic progress needs to be there, and we needed to change the whole assessment procedure. So the team was made, then vision was there, discussions were made, and now then when we have implemented the HPC successfully, and we have totally changed our assessment, and this change that we have done, now we have built it on, and now if it is uh, good, great enough, then we'll make it as a stick, we'll stick to it, ma'am. So I can very well relate all your 8 steps with what we have already done, ma'am, and we are doing it, and this change was really it made us grow, it made us learn, and it was a very good process, and we really enjoyed it, ma'am. So I can relate
Thank
each and
you.
everything that you are saying. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ambika. So, anybody else who wants to share? Yes. Do I have any more? Please open up. It's all about change management. So, if you want to bring in a change in yourself, you need to express yourself and you need to open up. Yes. Any of you?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Rajni from Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Delhi, Kendra. In our school also, we have created a different groups at each level, like pre-primary, primary, senior, middle wing, and then we discuss with each other, understand each other. Sometimes we face many difficulties also, but at the end we successfully understand and implement all those things which NC, which they want to incorporate in our teaching
Okay.
successfully.
Thank you, Rajni. Thank you, Ambika and Rajni. So, the first step was creating urgency. Second step was building a team. So, the principal alone cannot do it, cannot alone bring in a change. She needs a team which will bring in a change. And that team has to be having the right kind of expertise and skills and the right kind of influence which they can take forward. So these are basically the middle level leaders and the lower level leaders who reaches out, and they should be from diverse backgrounds so that they can influence and take the entire organization along with. Now, Once we have created, now we have created a powerful coalition. Is it enough for the change to be brought in? No, it's not enough, because with all this, you need to form a strategic vision and initiatives. This is a very important step for taking it further, because if you don't create a vision for change, it will all go haywire, because many people, many thoughts, many ideas will just spoil the entire tempo. So it's important that you very clearly chalk out the vision of how you're going to bring in the change. What is a vision for your change? And that should be in the form of initiatives which are measurable, and just not measurable, they are rightly achievable also. It's important for us to create strategically a vision for change and build in the blocks that what way we are going to see the change. So it should act as a north star to us, a direction. Like north star gives us the direction. Similarly, this strategically carved out initiatives will chalk out the vision for change. It's important because a vision is is the one which takes you through the change. But then vision without any concrete action, without any plan, is completely a futile exercise. So, in order to achieve the vision, you should plan out the things, and you should plan out the initiatives in a manner that, with clear timelines, with clear responsibilities, and the milestones, you should work out your action plan so that you are able to measure, and at different points of time you are able to reflect on very deeply as what you have achieved and how you are leading forth the change. So leadership plays a very crucial role here. So it's just not in formulating the vision and initiatives that, but in also embodying them. So the third step is creating a vision for change. So these three steps together creates a climate for change. So these three steps are the first important phase of bringing in the change in your organization. The next three steps, we will focus on how we engage and enable the whole organization. So now when we have created a vision, we have chalked out the initiatives, it's important that we enlist a volunteer army. When I say enlist a volunteer army, I mean to say that I need to bring in that mobilization by building in a broad base of employees to engage in and support the change initiative. So, for that, it is important that the essence of enlisting a volunteer army lies in inspiring individuals across the organization to voluntarily, commit to the change effort. And achieving this level of engagement, it requires more than just communicating. It's just not only communicating the vision, it necessitates that an environment is created where you have open dialogues, where you have feedback, and you have collaborations which are to be encouraged. And employees must feel heard and empowered to contribute. If you are facing any problem, you should be able to bring it to the leader, and the leader should be able to hear you patiently, come up with good solutions, collaborate with you. So communicating the vision here doesn't mean a one-way exercise that I am giving you all in black and white, but it has to be a two-way process where the feedback, the negotiations, the discussions, the deliberations would lead to bringing in the desired change, and you should feel to be a part of it. You should feel, you should feel that yes, you are driving the change, you are a change maker here. So the concept of communicating the vision or a volunteer army here is to recognize the power of peer influence and social proof in driving the change. So now let me again ask you a question here. How many of you felt that you were a part of that change when NEP and NCF was introduced in your organization? How many of you felt that yes, I was driving the change, I was giving in that idea, I was bringing in that innovation? So how many of you felt it that way? So I'm open to listening from you now. Any of you, any two responses? Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am. I was part of the team where
What's your name?
my Dinesh. I'm
Okay,
Dinesh
Dinesh.
from
Yes.
Rainbow.
Yes. Yes,
So I
Dinesh.
was part of the team which was working on how to apply art integration
Hmm.
in our classroom lesson plans.
Right. Hmm.
So therefore, so different subjects like mathematics, science, and in different subjects, how to apply art integration concept so that our teaching becomes interesting and interactive. So this was discussed in small groups by department wise also. Like mathematics department teachers discussed it at various levels, at primary level, at middle level, and at senior level also. Similarly, for other departments also, this was decided, and some sample lesson plans were prepared, and they were shown to the other members of the staff so that they could also apply the same. So in this way, we were made the part of the change.
Okay, so you felt that you were driving the change, right? So when we say that, you were a part of that bigger army of your leader, school leader who was driving the change, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Anybody else who would like to share? Yes. Anybody else? I'm sure you all must be a part of the change. And today, when you are taking, this particular session, I'm sure you are looking forward to, you must be change makers in your organization if you're showing so much of interest in change management. Yes, any of you? Please open up. Yes. So I think I've seen around more than 80 people here, but it takes time for everyone to open up. I just want to hear you people. Otherwise, it will just be like, a one-way process. I will just deliver the session and that's it. But I want that you relate to what I'm saying. And you must be doing it. That's why I took up the topic of what you have been through as of now. And you're still going through. A lot of changes are going to come even more. Yes? Please come up with your understanding. Were you not a part of that change making? Were you not a part of that volunteer army of your school?
Yes, we are, but in our way, by giving our inputs and whatever they want to do, we are doing it in a timely manner and sending and discussing with our team group leaders. And in that way, we were contributing. Yes, we are a part of that change, and still we are part of that change because still some or the other things are coming to us for the change.
Okay. What's your name?
I'm Rajni.
Rajni. Thank you, Rajni. In fact, I feel that when I say that, you are, that army of volunteers, I mean to say that every person in some way or the other has to join in that change making. Otherwise, if we are not taking it as a whole school approach, if we are not taking that everybody, boarding the bus of, boarding this energy bus of change, the change will not happen. So communicating the vision is possible only if we create a larger base of employees, a larger base of volunteers who take the change to the roots. Next step, what is important is empowering action. And empowering action is possible only when we enable actions by removing barriers. And that barriers are like, can be anything. I mean, what can be that exact nature of the obstacles which we may face? They can be wide ranging from outdated policies and processes. In fact, when innovative pedagogies were to be introduced in the classroom, we have a tendency to move back to what we were doing earlier. You might see, even when you are stretching a rubber, if you stretch a bit, it has a tendency to go back to its original, position. It has a tendency. But if you keep on, stretching it and stretching it and stretching it, it's only then it changes the shape. Otherwise, it tends to get back to its own shape. Similarly, whatever is rooted very deep in the organization, to uproot it and plant something new needs a lot of efforts. So you'll have to remove the obstacles. You'll have to you'll have to nurture and nourish the things in a right manner. That is why it's important that leaders have to play a pivotal role here in this stage by acting as champions for change, and they must lead by example, demonstrating a willingness to challenge the status quo and tackle the difficult issues like, say, siloed departments that hinder cross-functional collaboration, risk the people who don't want to take risks. There are people who just don't want to change, and who doesn't even allow others to change. They have a habit of pulling everybody down. Then there are policies and processes which are like, still making you cooled down to what it is, basically there. So empowering action is important, and it is as easy as possible. Means we need to make it easy that the people who are doing it right should be enabled, and we should make it difficult for the people who are still clinging on. So that's the next step, empowering action. And then we have generating short term wins. Now, generating short term wins or create quick wins is essential, because if we don't do this, we will not be able to set the right kind of environment for building on the change. What I mean to say is short term wins have a multiplicity of benefits, including energizing supporters, silencing critics, and building momentum by demonstrating the benefits for the change initiatives. So whatever little initiatives that you have taken, it's like, the low hanging fruits of the tree. So once you have been able to grab it, you should celebrate it. And when you make those short wins celebrated, people start, gluing to you for the change. They say, okay, this is what we have achieved, and we are going to even go further on it. So creating quick wins, celebrating these wins is as important as achieving them. And generating short-term wins is about more than just marking your check boxes on a project plan. It is about creating a narrative of success and progress that propels the organization forward. So it's very important that we celebrate our wins, our initiatives. So these were the next three steps which engages and enable the whole organization. But the next two, building on the change and make it stick, is very, very important, which at times leaders ignore. When we are able to achieve something, we celebrate it, and then we just rest on it. We don't go ahead. We don't sustain it. And that is the problem, the basic problem. You might have seen, you might have started many initiatives, but then those initiatives are not sustained further, and we lose on it. And we tend to go back to our conventional methods. We tend to go back to what we have been doing earlier. So what happens is that beyond celebrating early victories, it's important that the efforts does not stall or regress. And for that, what we should do is leaders again should play a crucial role in this stage by modeling the relentless pursuit of the change vision. And they must continue to communicate the vision and the importance of sustaining the momentum. We need to build on the change using everybody, that, okay, we have achieved, but we just can't rest on it. We'll have to move ahead. We'll have to move ahead. And in order to make it stick, what Meenakshi was stating, that we started, even in our interviews, we started recruiting only if you are having the knowledge of NEP and all. So if you have to make it stick, your organization have already transitioned from what it was earlier to a new phase now. So in order to sustain it, in order to make it stick, you need people who will be joining you having that same kind of mindset, same kind of culture, same kind of growth, same kind of progression. So for that, and for that, it's important that you stick to your practices. You keep on reflecting, you keep on reviewing, and you keep on growing. And for this, it is critical because without it, the risk of reverting to the old habits is very high, potentially undoing the progress that we have made. That is the reason that this 8-step quarter model is so very important, because it just not it just not ensure success of the change, but missing on any of the steps will be detrimental to the change management. So this is what we say that John P. Cotter along Michael Phelan, he used this John P. Cotter model in an educational setup to drive the change. But for driving the change, what do we analyze now? That the role of the leader is very important. The role of distributed leadership is very important. And the leader should be the leader for learning. Leader for learning means cannot be just an instructional leader. The leader for learning has 3 traits. Has to be an instructional leader, number 1. Has to be a transformative leader, and has to be a leader who promotes distributed leadership. With all these 3 qualities, the leader can make a desired change. But leader works with whom? With the people. So what kind of people we work with? So in any staff, we take up the staff room of all the schools, we'll find these 4 kind of people working with us. The stars, the saints, the sloths, and the sinners. The stars are the ones who are very highly effective, highly performing staff who get aligned with your vision, who are very affiliative to what you do. They are the top performers, so they are the stars. So that you will have to use your leadership style by stretching them, giving them more ambitious projects, and they will perform to what you desire. On the second quadrant, you'll see here, you are having saints. The saints are benevolent people, very large hearted. They align with your vision. They just need a little coaching and support, a little mentoring, and they'll turn effective. They'll become your star performers. And then down, you are having sinners. Now, these sinners are the one who are very effective, very highly performing, but then very negative. They are alienated completely. They just don't go with what your vision is. So putting them on checks is very important. So feedback, sanctions, commanding, coaching. You'll have to use diverse leadership styles to put them into place. But the 4th one, slots, they are highly ineffective, don't align with your vision. They are like good for nothing kind of things. They just come and go back. They just don't contribute anything. So either you'll have to remove them or neutralize them or make them change their ways by commanding them. So you'll have to use leadership styles to manage your colleagues in order to bring in the desired change by using that Kotter models of change management. And for that, what you need to do as a leader, understand that you are very microscopically observed. And when you are microscopically observed, I mean to say whom you are talking to, how you are talking to, whom you are rewarding, whom you are not, who are feeling alienated, are the ones who you are very, very microscopically observed. So as a leader, you need to expand on to your circle of trust. And when you expand on your circle of trust, you actually bring all the alienated fellows into your circle. And that is when you succeed as a leader and you grow as a leader and you're able to bring in the desired change in your organization. So for change management, the leader has to be dynamic. The leader has to be open. The leader has to be, has to get into the dialogue. The leader should be very, very, unbiased. Leader has to move ahead, and the leader has to take everybody in loop in order to bring in the desired change. And in order to sustain it, we'll have to give that confidence to his or her colleagues. So with that, I end the session of change management. Thank you so much. Sir, I have completed 2 minutes prior. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. That's very good. Any teacher who want to ask any question? That's very good. It was a wonderful session. And teachers, you are interacting with Madam Gulshan Kaur, principal of Bhons Vidyalaya Panchkula. When she was interacting with you, I was reminding of the story of Parle. Parle Ji. Parle Ji, it is a very famous company which is making biscuits. There was a time, some 2 years ago, the company was in a very bad condition and its products were not, so popular as they were. So at that time, the daughter of the Parle company joined Parle products, and that has brought the change. And what was the change? She has started Parle G in a very short packet of 5 rupees. So it went to the masses. So Parle products has also faced challenges like competition and economic changes, but adapted on the following fronts. Number one, cost management. Number two is quality. And number three is that the Parle had expanded his market by the earning of this small packet of 5 rupees. So sometime these things also work. And that girl who has done, she was a fresh girl, she had done fresh MBA, and then she joined her father's business. She was a daughter of Parleji's proprietors. So anyhow, so this was the story of a change. And every time we are changing. I don't know whether some of you are from the biological background. If you see that change is the basic nature, and every time we are changing. What is changing? All the tissues, blood, nerves, veins, our neurons, and our connectivity, it is all changing. That's why we are alive. If you see the ECG of any person, it is not flat, it is up and downs. So that is change. Nature also favors change. So thank you very much, ma'am. It was a wonderful session, very interactive, and I think our teachers have thoroughly enjoyed. Hartinder is there? Hartinder, are you there?
Yes.
Hartinder, are you there? No. So anyhow, madam, thank you very much. And
Thank you, sir.
I have thoroughly enjoyed the session, and maybe that our teachers have enjoyed. Teachers, have you enjoyed the lesson?
Yes,
Absolutely,
sir.
sir.
Yes,
Have you
sir. Yes,
enjoyed
sir.
it?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Definitely.
Okay. So thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.